turbocharged episode of the High Voltage Live Show. I'm your host, Willie Snyder from NEC Code, coming to you live from the Mile High City in Denver, Colorado, joined by my awesome co-host, Mr. King James Stallcup, over there in Hook 'em Horn Country, Longhorn Country, Texas, and give my old Hook 'em Horns from the Mile High City. Appreciate you, James. Appreciate you putting everything together. I had a lot of participation this week. It was a little mixed bag. There was a lot of kind of inappropriate names, pushed towards me and you, but you kind of knew that was going to happen because you knew they'd be a little upset about us calling them out on the listing and labeling. And so...
no worries.
Yeah, pretty interesting. And like I say, this week, the audio that I have, I think you're going to find a lot of interesting things in this audio. So I want to go ahead and roll this audio from Mr. Ryan Jackson about 2026 code changes. Seems like they're concerned about some elderly people, so I think you'll find that interesting. Let's see what he's got to say here.
422.12 central heating equipment. The types of equipment allowed on the central heating branch circuit were expanded, and really the first thing to say is central heating equipment in Article 422 is gas-fired appliances. Okay, so if you have central heating that's electric, then that's going to be Article 424. This thing here, which is very popular in my neck of the woods, a gas-fired furnace, that's an appliance. It does use electricity, right? You can see it's got a control circuit basically, and a fan, but it doesn't use electricity to create the heat. It's not like a resistor that heats up like an electric furnace. So 422.12 central heating equipment. Central heating equipment other than fixed electric space heating equipment must be supplied by an individual branch circuit. All right, we don't want anything on the central heating equipment circuit. And the reason for that really is because depending on where you live, this could be a life safety piece of equipment, Where I live, Salt Lake City, Utah, if I lose the furnace in the winter, it's gonna suck. But I could go a few days and nobody's gonna die. If you're in, Montana, where my brother lives, and you lose the furnace in the winter, this house gets like -50. So yeah, that's a serious issue. So we don't want anything on this circuit that could cause the breaker or fuse to trip and not be able to be reset, right? So we want to make sure that the only thing on the circuit is the central heating equipment. So here in the picture, even a doorbell transformer. I know a doorbell transformer doesn't pull any power, I know that. But it's one more thing that can fail, that can cause a breaker to trip and a person to lose their heating in the middle of the winter.
So I find this interesting. So now all of a sudden I want to give a shout out to David Engelhardt. Welcome in, David. Good evening. Welcome all you NEC code nerds. Appreciate you. We got old Daniel popping in here. What's up, Daniel?
Daniel made it. He come back for more. Wow.
Big shout out. Oh, man. He's got a good chance. He's got a good chance this week. I'm going to get you on this one. It's Major League Baseball. I don't know that you got it on Major League Baseball. We'll see.
We'll see. I know a little bit about Major League Baseball. It's hockey I don't know anything about.
But I find this interesting that there was nothing said about anything about losing cooling in the summer.
Yeah.
Only losing heating in the winter, and he's saying that's a life safety device. Well, so an AC unit's not a life safety device now all of a sudden. So that's totally fine if it trips a GFCI, but there's nothing in there that says this furnace has to be on a GFCI protected receptacle.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's interesting. So if we hardwire this furnace in, like in a basement where GFCI protection is required, why didn't he say that GFCI protection is required on that? He didn't say that.
Well,
it's picking and choosing. And what does Daniel say here? He said, "Oh yeah."
They're playing right now, matter of fact, and when I had to come in here.
That is totally true, Daniel. Every time a Texas team does good, King James like, oh yeah, I knew they were gonna do good this year. I had them on my radar.
Well, Purdue's up 4 points at half, and they got 5 points gifted to them on a foul they called on Modest, and that was a bunch of crap. I've never seen this before. Tell me if you've seen this in a basketball call. They're up in his face, and he turns to move, and there's a guy behind him. He hits him with an elbow. But the guy that was covering him, he was trying to move from. The other guy just come up behind him. They called a foul on Purdue, then turned around, called a foul on him for an elbow. They gave them 2 free shots and gave them the ball, even though they committed the foul before he did. And all he was trying to do was get away. He was moving and didn't know the guy was behind him. And I was like, that's not an intention. I've never seen that play before where they did that.
Yeah, that's true, Daniel.
I don't believe that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have them in my bracket, so they're not.
I will say this: the coach they have, he's a damn good coach, but I just don't think Texas can win it all. I just don't. They got a pretty good team, but I think Purdue probably has a better team, but Texas does match up against them, and I don't think Purdue's going to run away with it, and I don't think Texas is going to be like that Gonzaga game. It's going to come down to the end who wins, who makes the plays and plays the best defense.
So a big shout out to one of my brothers, Steve Cully from UConn. He's a podcaster over there in UConn, and I picked UConn to win it all. So we'll see. I'm riding on you there, old Steve. So appreciate it. But one thing that I want to mention here is, so the reason that this gets controversial is these guys come out and they made this 210.8F, and it was tripping AC unit, and old people were losing their cooling in places like Arizona. I think Texas was big one of them.
Yeah.
Like all these places that get really hot in the summer, but he doesn't mention any of that in here.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say about him and a lot of the co-making panel too, and all the rest of y'all, Brian Rockingham, you accused other people. We don't care about safety. Actually, it was y'all that didn't care about safety. You cared more about product.
Sure.
And the reason we know that is because Mr. Dimitrovich specifically stated on one of his podcasts that we make all these safety products, and if we don't put it in the code, nobody will use it.
Yeah. And it'll be more expensive. And,
yeah. He said it. That's not us. We played the audio so everybody could hear it. And that's why I try to say it's all safety issue, and we want on the individual branch circuit because we got to protect people. You don't want them losing their heat and going, a week without it, and blah 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 blah. But when it comes to a protection device, we need to put that on there. And if we don't care, that it could just, nuisance trip and therefore put people's life in danger. That's basically what y'all said.
Yeah. And so I wanted to play this audio because so far, I haven't heard any mention of GFCI protection on furnace. So furnace is located in the basement, in the attic. It's located all these places that require GFCI protection. Never heard one thing about it being required to be on GFCI protection yet. So I want you to hear, if you hear any part about GFCI protection on the utilization equipment.
So, it has to be on its own circuit, individual branch circuit. There's 2 exceptions though. Number 1, auxiliary equipment such as a humidifier, pump, air cleaner, or similar that's directly associated with the heating equipment is allowed on the heating equipment circuit. All right, so the humidifier, right, it's part of the heating equipment. basically. So if you want to put it on the heating equipment circuit, go ahead and put it on the heating circuit equipment.
Okay, so we have a problem here because I thought individual branch circuit only connected one piece of utilization equipment. So now they're giving you permission to put more pieces of utilization equipment on that individual branch circuit. How could they do that, James?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, they got an exception there, and they talk about the auxiliary equipment, and that's where you have like your pumps, your valves, your air cleaners, humidifiers, things like that. But the thing is, the reason they talk about that because it's directly associated with the heating equipment.
Sure.
And
I agree.
then there's an exception too there where it talks about where you have permanently connected air conditioner equipment. And it says that it shall be permitted to be connected to the same branch circuit.
Yeah.
And the only reason you're allowed to do that is because of why?
Diversity, and you have the non-coincident loads.
That's right. And they tell you it required by 210.63A. So my question is, if you can take and share the same branch circuit that's individual there, are you telling me now that space heating equipment needs to have GFCI protection too?
It makes you wonder.
Inquiring minds would like to know.
I just thought there was inconsistencies here.
There's a proposal to add germicidal irradiation luminaires, which is what you're looking at here in the picture. In fact, this is my house. I have a germicidal irradiation luminaire that goes in the plenum. And I'd say like once every 15-20 minutes it turns on for like 5 seconds and just blasts germicidal irradiation through the plenum, and it kills any germs that are in there. So keep us nice and healthy, I guess. So anyway, that is almost certainly going to be on the furnace circuit. It's part of the furnace equipment now. So we added this exception. The original proposal was to just say germicidal irradiation luminaires. But the committee, I think, took the right approach, and they said, instead of making this list of every time somebody thinks of something, why don't we say similar equipment? Equipment that's basically part of that equipment. So humidifiers, pumps, air cleaners, germicidal irradiation luminaires, similar equipment directly associated with the heating equipment. Cool. And you can also have permanently installed air conditioning equipment.
Oh, here we go.
The idea there was always that you either have the air conditioner on or you have the furnace on, but not both, right? So if you want to put those on the same circuit, then sure, go ahead, because you're not going to be running them both at the same time. We also expanded this exception, though.
All right, so
he doesn't say anything about GFCI there, does he?
No. So you could have a permanently installed AC unit with no GFCI protection, and doesn't matter location. They said this. Oh, well, if it's a location that requires GFCI protection, then it needs GFCI protection. Where does it say that? Where do you say that? And that's what's so funny, because he's on code making panel 17. They cover appliances, and okay. So do those appliances magically have internal GFCI now? Because you would think he would mention the branch circuit, wouldn't he? He's mentioned the branch circuit, that it has to be on an individual branch circuit. So now it makes me realize this is why they didn't want to pass my public input to say individual branch circuit connects to one outlet, because they wanted it to connect to more than one outlet.
I think what should happen right there is there needs to be somebody put a comment on there and say this, if it's sharing the same branch circuit, individual branch circuit with the AC, I still need GFCI protection.
True. Yeah. What if that permanently installed AC unit is outside?
That's right.
Doesn't say anything about that.
Yeah.
To allow for the required lighting outlet near the central heating equipment and the required GFCI receptacle near the heating equipment to be on the same circuit as well. This is something that I used to see all the time when I was an inspector. So people would put a furnace in the attic, which you can't see here in the picture, but trust me, there's a furnace up there. And of course, 210.63 and 210.70 say that you need a lighting outlet, and the lighting outlet has to be by the equipment, and the switch for the lighting outlet has to be near the point of entrance. and you also need a receptacle within 25 feet that's on the same level. Now we're going to allow you to put all of that on the same circuit. And to me, I have no problem with that. Neither of them pull much power. Hopefully, if you're using that GFCI, it's not while the furnace is running. If it is, the furnace really doesn't pull much current at all, right? It's mainly just a blower. So there you go. Some nice exceptions.
So what we have here is kind of a little confusion of the code, because so now what I could do is I could take a branch circuit up there, non-GFCI protected, put a receptacle in for my furnace that's in an area that's required to have GFCI protection, and I'm saying, well, that's an individual branch circuit. I got a single receptacle in there, and I'm plugging that in with no GFCI protection. Now I'm coming off that single receptacle, and I'm putting a GFCI for my service equipment. Well, I didn't think we could do that. I didn't think you could do that. And so it's really interesting how it's like these guys don't realize when they start talking about this, it's like I'm sitting here, my wheels are turning right away going, wait, I thought this was impossible.
Yeah.
I thought this installation was impossible. And he's talking about being an inspector and everything, and you're in an attic and a crawl space and everything, so that luminaire's got to be GFCI protected, that service receptacle's got to be GFCI protected, but nothing about the furnace or the AC unit ever, not one word saying anything about GFCI protection on those.
The hypocrisy.
Yeah, you would think that they would mention that, and it just goes to Daniel's favorite soundbite that we play every time, and it's
They should have a saying with them guys over there. My boundaries of hypocrisy only extend so far. It's true.
Yeah, that is 100% true. But I thought you would like that, because it's interesting that they want to be like this. They just want to be like this moral authority on the code of what you need to do on all these installs, but they don't cover every install. They only cover what they're talking about, and it's just, to me, like you say, it's just so hypocritical. And I thought you'd like that, how it's just like, you notice he mentions the GFCI for your service receptacle, because it has to be GFCI protected.
Yeah.
But now you have two receptacles, one's GFCI protected, one's not. Why not? Why did they not mention that? And
like I said, it's a double standard in the hypocrisy of certain individuals. I'll just put it at that.
Well, I really think you'll like this meme of the week. Let's go over the meme.
All right.
Dude, that is so
that's
funny,
funny.
man. Like, that is why I do not buy those cheap hammers, like those homeowner hammers, and my hammer will be in shame of what it's nailing. I thought that was pretty funny.
That hammer going limp.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty funny. But like I say, we can only do so much on this show. And this week, I gave you the power of the myth of the week. And, dude, this was really good. Like, I got a lot of hate mail on this one. But it was really funny, because the only reason I got the hate mail is because these guys realize they're wrong. And
that's right.
So we'll go ahead and roll myth of the week.
Yep.
It's time for Myth of the Week.
So we did a lot of research on the myth of the week this week, and it's been pretty much what we've been trying to beat into these guys' heads forever. That it's you can't just sit there and say that the National Electric Code overrules the OSHA standard. So you wouldn't even have the NEC product listing if you didn't have the OSHA standard first. So it's kind of like the chicken and the egg. You can't just have the chicken without the egg, But I thought this was really interesting. I kind of ran across King James, like a few of the things that I wanted to do. I do run across a lot of listing things that is really interesting. And he's like, well, you should do this one for does the OSHA standards, for this, testing and listing of all these products. Can the NEC say you can't install that anywhere? And the answer is 100% no. This is 100% false.
Hell no, it can't.
Yeah, I mean,
Hey, I want to bring some of Chris Folan. I asked him all these questions. All he wanted to say, well, they only update that about every 20 years, 25 years. And they update the NEC every 3 years. You're saying that OSHA supersedes them? I said, that's exactly what I'm saying. And one guy made the great comment, which I asked him this over and over, which he wouldn't answer. He said, well, you take out here in before Texas went to a state license, when you worked out in the county, they didn't adopt NEC or anything. It was just, it was roughshod out there, man. I mean, but one thing all contractors did do, if the manufacturer listing and labeling and their instructions told you to do something, they did that. Yeah. There wasn't no argument about it. And like the guy said, you take these jurisdictions, just take the state of Texas. Just say, hypothetically, somebody, which I know at one time they were looking at doing it. I wish they would do it again. But you take the ICC. If the ICC went in and wrote their own electrical code, I can tell you right now the NEC would fail to exist. And do you know why that is?
Because they freaking went towards the manufacturers
of
all this safety equipment instead. Try to
guess who belongs to the ICC?
OSHA.
If you think about this, and this is one of the most important parts, is your building officials belong to that. Okay. And the building officials are the ones that recommend to any states. I mean, you take all the building officials here in the state of Texas and they say, we want to go to the ICC. Guess what? That's what's going to happen, because they're the ones that are making the decisions for their states. And the ICC's already done a little bit on residential code. Did you know that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so I think they have their own code book for certain jurisdictions. Sure.
And there's certain jurisdictions here, that's what they use. And then their stuff refers to NEC. So my whole point behind that was, if they come in and they decide, you know what, we're going to put our own together, and all of a sudden that's what people start using, does the NEC now take precedence because these guys that are on these code-making panels think so, or because they belong to the Electrical Inspectors Association? No, it doesn't take precedent. What'll take precedent would be the ICC within there, but the ICC would still be superseded by OSHA requirements and regulations, which I'm going to show you here in a little bit. So I'll let you go ahead and go.
So one of the things that I want to mention is there's two parts to these manufacturer instructions. There's like fluff that they put in there where they say, it's recommended that you use a coat of paint over the bare metal, or it's recommended that you put this product in to avoid vibration, or they give you all these recommendations. Those are not required.
That's right.
Those are parts of the manufacturer instructions that are not required to be followed because it's just recommended. It's just recommended practice.
Let me say this to that. let's say they do those recommended, is it okay?
If what?
It went through the testing and labeling. They recognize that. That's why it's part of the manufacturer's instruction.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's just recommended. It's not required.
No,
So it's
but
like not like you're gonna get in trouble if you don't do it.
that's
You
right,
know?
because it's a recommendation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it might be a better install from the manufacturer instructions. Now they might say, well, it's required that you put a coat of sealant on there of silicone or something because they don't want water getting in there. Well, yeah, it's required. You have to do that. You have to put that thing of silicone. Now the AHJ can fail you because you did not follow the manufacturer instructions. Nothing in the code says anything about silicone on that piece of equipment.
Yeah.
So it's like the NEC is like they're not even in the ballpark. Like they're not even in the neighborhood to talk about silicone on this equipment. So the manufacturer knows their equipment better than the NEC, and so that's why they put the manufacturer instructions in there. Now, the thing that's going to be interesting to see is they say in the last sentence of 110.3b, they say that must result in a installation that's free from violation. Okay, well, where's the violation? Your guys' interpretation that's wrong?
Mm-hmm.
So to me, that's what's interesting. I think it's going to be interesting because to me, that sentence is meaningless when it comes to the AHJ interpretation. And the one thing that I did want to mention too is not only that, but when you get into like these guys' interpretation, they're trying to say that they know the equipment better than the manufacturer, and that's not going to happen.
No.
There's just no way. And they're going to say, oh, well, we call that a code violation, so you can't install it anywhere. Really? It just blows me away. And so you think like the manufacturers are just going to say, okay, well, our equipment can't be installed. We're just going to let the NEC override us and all the testing and all that, and we're just have people just not install our equipment. Yeah, you're gonna have a fight on your hands there, NFPA.
Sure. So what I did is I went in and I just asked AI 2 questions. Okay. The first thing I asked, does NEC supersede OSHA? Now the reason
you didn't specify what kind of OSHA though.
Well, when it's National Electrical Code, they knew it was electrical. That's why you'll see OSHA 1910 subpart S on here.
Right.
So AI has all this information, especially when it deals with OSHA. They've got all that documentation uploaded, all their laws and all that. So it has tons of information to pull from. And that's why I was like, well, hell, this is one where it's actually a good spot where you could ask AI this because it has all this information that's been uploaded. And what it stated was, no, the National Electrical Code does not supersede OSHA regulations. And as you go to .gov, it's putting in here where they got the information. It's at .gov. And it says, as federal law, which is, I've stated this so many times, like Chris Folan, Jeremy, all them, they don't want to hear it. But it says OSHA regulations, it's your 29 CFR, but it's 1910 subpart S, takes precedence over local codes. Although OSHA frequently adopts NEC requirements, both require that listed and labeled equipment be used according to its what? Certification. Now, I want to stop there. And I want to tell you
that certification. They got that certification from OSHA.
Well, there's a reason I wanted to stop right here. Okay? Because if you go in and you look at when they had the EVSE argument before the Standards Council, what was the type of language they used? They said that it will be used in accordance with the product what? Certification.
Yeah. 100%.
That's what it said. That's not me making anything up. I'm telling you what it said. We showed that on the podcast. Okay.
And what was awesome about that was I added the word outlet, which they basically had a technical disagreement and said they upheld the EBSE people and said they have a valid appeal on the Standards Council. You know, the Standards Council upheld the appeal, and they deleted the word outlet and put it back to how it was, just receptacles.
Sure.
And so they realized that they had a problem. If they're going to sit there and call everything an outlet, you can't do that. And they called that a technical disagreement. Jeremy
That's
says,
right.
"Oh, they didn't delete it just for the reason outlet." Yeah, they did. Turns out they did, dude. That's 100% proof, documentation. That's what they did.
Well, actually, that would be true because the word that caused all that change was the word outlet, Jeremy, if you actually knew how to go back and look at public inputs.
True.
Okay, now, here's some key details on NEC and OSHA interaction, and the legal precedence is the one that you have to hear first, okay? OSHA requirements are legally mandated workplace safety standards. Now, listen to this. If a local NEC code differs, guess which law applies? OSHA.
Yeah.
In the discussion. Now, the reason that this is so important and why I told Bill, let's cover this, is because we're going to get in a little bit, and this is something I've asked Foe, Jeremy, all of them. And I said, who goes in and provides the certifications for these NERDLs? So in other words, ETL, UL, Good Houston, Strauss, all these different ones, Intertech, all of those. Who provides that certification for them? It's going to be OSHA. So if they're doing their testing standard stuff and they tell you not to do something, guess what? OSHA has already certified them, looked at it. It all gets submitted. It goes through the testing facilities and all of that. Therefore, OSHA law takes precedence over NEC.
Sure.
That's in discussion here. Now, let's look at listing and labeling. These are your NERDLs, your national recognized testing laboratories. It says OSHA mandates that equipment be approved by an NRTL. Okay? So that goes without saying. Then it goes into the compliance alignment, and this is where it ties into 1910-303B2. And then you're going to also see 1926-403. That's construction. Okay, so they're covering general industry here and construction. And it says, require that listed or labeled equipment be installed and used in accordance with instructions included in that listing or labeling. So they're telling you, you will do that. That is the compliance alignment. Okay, and so they're telling you do this, and they're also telling you up here, OSHA law supersedes the NEC.
100%.
Okay. Now, what I wanted to ask everybody, anybody watch this podcast, share it, because people need to see this, because there is a disconnect out there right now that people think the NEC actually supersedes OSHA. It does not. And this is why we're covering this. So we ask you, share this out there, share it to the groups and stuff, and let people read this stuff so they can see for themselves. This is not something that Bill and I are just, this is our opinion, this is what we want. You know, we can't ever admit defeat or anything. The thing is, they say y'all can't ever admit defeat, but we're showing you the language in black and white here. This is what they're telling you. And yet they'll tell us, well, you can't accept defeat, even though we're showing you all the text and everything in black and white, and they never show you anything. They're the ones actually giving you opinions. Okay.
We got the entrance music for feedback.
See, this is what's awesome, because here it is. We're laying it out where you can actually see it, and he's still arguing. This is one of your hack instructors in the industry that does not care what the language states. But I'm going to show all that. I'm going to go further into this. All right. Yeah. So let's look at shared standards. While not identical, OSHA's electrical standards are based on the same national consensus standards found in the National Electrical Code. Oh, well, looky there. So, and I'm going to show this in a little bit where I'm going to get into
Here he goes,
1910.7.
trying to
I've
like
already
twist.
covered this. This is Jeremy. Jeremy, I'm serious. You're a freaking hack. You've become, you and your co-hosts over there at ECD have stated so many times, the stock ups are an embarrassment to the electrical industry. But no, the ones that have become the embarrassment to the electrical industry through the last 4 or 5 years is y'all showed y'all's complete disregard for techs that we're showing throughout the industry. And you expect everybody to bow down to the ECD mantra. Whatever you say, that is the rules. And you can't stand the fact that there's somebody where we actually have a podcast and we're demonstrating weekly that the ones that are incompetent when it comes to applying the NEC and understanding the regulations and all standards that correlate with it is actually you guys over there.
So what's so stupid is this is two different things, Weed Man. Like, that's what's so dumb. Like, you act like we're getting mad or something. It's like, dude, you're twisting the topic. We're saying that the OSHA standards. Okay, so, all right, do this, Weed Man. Why don't you just give us an example of where the NEC would supersede OSHA? Can you do that?
Yeah, well, let's look at the last part. So essentially what happens here, the NEC provides the technical installation standards while OSHA enforces those standards as legally binding requirements in the workplace. Like I've been saying over and over. And they even argued with me this one time. I said, when you actually look at the code book, I said, what is the code book used for basically? I said design and installation, and they argued that wasn't true.
Sure.
And I said, sure it is. Because when you deal with the safety portion, you deal with what? 70E. When you deal with the maintenance, you deal with 70B. Now they agree with that. But there, when it first started, I had to educate them on how those were used. Now,
sure.
Watch this. Now,
we never say anything about a homeowner.
I have too. I've said it, and I'm going to say it again.
I'm a homeowner.
Jeremy, if you're a homeowner, no. But if you're just a single individual contractor, no. But if you employ one or more employees, OSHA affects you. And if I go out there and work on an AC unit and say I'm an AC contractor, I send one of my guys out there. If I have one or more employees, or two or more employees, guess what? I fall under OSHA. And I will pull that regulation up and show you that too, because it specifically states that. And that's, once again, that's still considered the workplace. So let me put it this way. If you're saying it doesn't apply, then I don't have to worry about applying. No, Jeremy, I didn't say they could cite a homeowner. I said they could cite that contractor.
They could cite anybody they want, Jeremy.
Well, they don't go after homeowners and an individual.
They could, though. They're a government agency. Government agency can go after whoever.
Well, sure, they could go after anybody they want. They could make something up. But anyway, so the next thing that I went in and I asked this, I said, who is responsible for certification of your nurdles? Okay, this is another part that, like Folan and Weedman and all them guys over there, Myers, all them freaking idiots over there. They never want to talk about this because the reason it defeats their argument at this point, because it is, they'll say, oh, well, the code doesn't update to every 20, or OSHA doesn't update to every 25 years. Yeah, but there's still the authority. It's a federal regulation.
I'm still waiting for your example, Weedman.
Yeah, give an example. So, but I'm going to
one example of how the NEC would override OSHA.
Right. I'm going to give you some examples here, and I want to see you dispute what I'm about to show you. So it says here, the U.S. Department of Labor's Occupational Safety and Health Administration is responsible, pay attention, Jeremy, you need to listen to this, for the recognition, accreditation. Do you know what an accreditation is, I hope? And oversight of what? Nationally recognized testing laboratories. It's OSHA, not the NEC, that evaluates private sector organizations to ensure they meet legal standards, which looky here, 1910.7, which I'm going to take you to in a minute, for testing and certifying products used in workspaces. Okay,
I could tell you what, Weedman isn't an accredited instructor.
Sure. Now, what are some of the key details regarding NERDL certification authority? OSHA's rule, or their role. Pay attention, Jeremy. OSHA runs a NERDL program, which grants, renews, expands, or revokes the recognition of these laboratories, not the NEC. And you might want to go educate your boy Ryan Jackson over there, Jeremy, because he come on and said, "Oh, I can't find anywhere in the NEC where they're the ones that go in and grant, renew, or expand or revokes these laboratories." Well, the reason he can't find it because OSHA's the one that does that, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're just waiting for this example you have, Jeremy, where the NEC would override OSHA.
Yeah.
Because I haven't seen it yet. So
Jeremy, this is why people are listening to us and why they transcript our podcast and stuff. They don't do that to other podcasts because we actually come in and show you in black and white where it says it. We don't give opinions here. Okay, now what's the purpose of the NERDL? The program ensures that equipment used in workplaces, oh God, I can't believe I'm about to say this, is safe and tested to consensus-based standards. Oh my God. So that's sort of telling me there that they took the code and everything into consideration and they did the testing to see that when they, just say I put that AC unit out there, Jeremy, it's wired correctly and everything. They tell you not to put GFCI protection on it. Are you going to sit here and try to state to me that they didn't do the proper testing and seeing that that would perform the way they said it would? Now you need to go. Now you don't need to be a coward like you tell everybody else, Jeremy, and you need to call UL, ETL, and all them people over there and tell them what idiots they are or morons like you do everybody else. Okay. Now let's look at accreditation process. Organizations like UL, Intertech, TUV, SUD, I don't know who that is, ETL, Good Use,
We're still
and
waiting
Strauss.
for one example, Weedman, just to show us an example of where the NEC overrides OSHA. It's really simple, bro. Really simple to explain. You want to call us idiots, morons, everything? Please explain, bro. Please explain one time where the NEC would override OSHA. We'll wait.
Well, I'm explaining to him right now. So organizations, these are UL and all them, must demonstrate, pay attention here, Jeremy, technical capability. They have to have proper testing facilities and independent quality control procedures to be recognized by who? OSHA. Okay?
Yep.
Then the scope says, while NERDLs test products for safety, OSHA specifically regulates the laboratories doing that testing. So now what you're saying is, if you say the NEC, oh, Roger, you're also saying the NEC just overrode UL because UL's the one that approved those manufacturers' instructions per the listing and labeling, and therefore UL, ETL, all these testing agencies, you're saying they're a bunch of fucking idiots too.
Yeah, and you need to explain to your students, Jeremy, give your students one example of how NEC overrides OSHA. Just one example. We're waiting.
Okay, now, watch this. Pay attention, Jeremy. You're going to learn something tonight. You can use this to help your students.
Yeah.
Now, when I go look at 1910.7a, starts it off, application. This section shall apply only when the term NERDL is used in other sections of this part.
Oh, here he
Okay?
goes again, dude. Really?
No, never say it now.
Never said what you just said on our podcast, man. Yeah.
Okay.
Daniel's right. He's pre-gaming.
Yeah. Now let's look at laboratory requirements. The term NERDL means an organization which is recognized by OSHA in accordance with Appendix A of this section, which is very interesting because you need to also go look at 1910.399. That's where you get in the definition, Jeremy, and I'm going to tell you 3 definitions to look at there. Go look at accepted, acceptable, and approved per OSHA. You'll learn quite a bit why they are in charge and why they supersede the NEC here. Okay?
Sure.
And it says, and which tests for, look at here, for safety. That is probably the most important thing, is if they come in and tell you not to do something and you're saying the NEC overrides it, what you have just stated is that equipment they developed, tested, did everything, and wrote the manufacturer's instructions for, you're saying that they did not test it for safety.
Oh, right here, Weedman says, no, OSHA does not supersede the NEC. So we're waiting for one example, Weedman, of you to tell us where the NEC overrides that. That's it. That's all you have to do. And you can't do it. It should be easy. You know?
So it says, which tests for safety. Now listen to this. And list or label or accepts equipment or materials and which meet the following criteria. So let's see what they're required to do. You'll have B1, B2, and so on. We'll go over that. So what does B1 say?
Yeah, you did just say it.
He did. Then it says, for each specified item of equipment or material to be listed, labeled, or accepted, the NERDL has the capability, now listen to this, including proper testing equipment and facilities, trained staff, written testing procedures, and calibration and quality control programs to perform what? Okay, so in order for this equipment to even get a listing and labeling, there's a lot of stuff has to happen here, Jeremy. Okay, so it says testing and examining of equipment and materials for workplace safety purposes to determine conformance with appropriate test standards. Okay, so I go with the test standards. Then it says experimental testing and examining of equipment and materials for workplace safety purposes to determine conformance, look here, with appropriate test standards or performance in a specified manner. So in other words, if they told you not to put GFCI protection on it, they were required here to go through all the conformance and appropriate test standards or the performance of that equipment in the specified manner, which they're telling you not to do. Okay?
Yeah, and so, like, this is what's really funny. That is not an example of the NEC overriding OSHA. And all OSHA is doing is they're taking the most strictest standards and they're applying it to consumer. That's it. That's all they're doing.
That is one stupid comment right there. I mean, that really is a stupid comment. But let me give you a little bit here, Jeremy, and you can go back and check this and you'll see that I'm 100% right. And that guy, Joe, that's at UL that Chris Folan was talking about. Chris, send this to him. This audio here, right here, this podcast, because I'm gonna educate Joe right now. Okay, he said Joe said I should know better, me, Dad, and I. Okay, well let me explain something to you, Joe, and I'm not upset or anything. I just want you to think about what I'm about to say. When did UL?
I'm really glad that you thought that was a stupid comment, Weedman.
What I'm about to tell everybody here, this is going to show you who knows and who doesn't. Okay? When we wrote the OSHA book, at the request of Joe Pipkin, who was at OSHA, he was a director, and he was on 70E committee with us. He asked us to write this OSHA book, okay? Now, I can prove all of this, too, because when we wrote the high voltage one, he asked us to do that one, too, and then they even turned around and gave us OSHA's point of view. That was their own internal documents to put in there. And our publication for the high voltage has that. No other publication has that information. So how did we get that, Jeremy? You know, if you want proof. So that's how I'm giving you some documentation where you won't see it from anybody else. Okay.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
we wrote this publication. If you go back and look, that's when we started explaining to everybody what third-party certification was and how you went about it. It was at that time, guess who started getting third-party certification credentials from OSHA?
You guys?
UL.
Oh.
And it was after our publication was written because we explained it to everybody and what OSHA's role was, and they were the authority. Okay?
I'm just going to leave this up here until Jeremy gives us an example.
And all I'm saying, go type it in. Go see when the Stalk Up OSHA publication come out, and then ask online, go say, when did UL start their third-party certification? It was after our publication. Go check it and see if I ain't right. It just, you know, we were on the forefront, is what I'm trying to tell you. Okay?
I'll just keep putting it up there like, oh, I never said that. It's like, dude, you just said it. I just put it up there. You just said it. Like, how many times do we have to do this? Like,
so then you go into
ago?
B2, and it'll tell you the NERDL shall provide to the extent needed for the particular equipment or materials listed, labeled, or accepted the following controls or services. So they're required to provide certain controls and procedures when they're doing this. So they, first one, they'll tell you, implements control procedures for identifying the listed and labeled equipment or materials. Then it tells you inspects the run of production of such items at factories for product evaluation purposes to assure conformance with testing standards. Then they also say conduct field inspections to monitor and to assure the proper use of its identifying marker labels on products. Now that's what I'm trying to teach you here, Jeremy. They require that they go out and even do field inspections to make sure that equipment is performing in the manner they stated it would. Sure. So if they told you no GFCI protection and they have reasons behind it and it's out there performing exactly the way it says and everything, who is the code making panel to think that they have the right to come in and tell them, no, you're going to put GFCI protection on it when they have performed no testing, had no conformance with no test standards, or performed any type of field inspections on the equipment.
True.
That,
yeah,
I mean, and this is common sense stuff I'm asking here. Okay. And you notice he ain't commenting on this because he knows it's making him look bad. Now,
oh yeah, he looks like a dumbass. Because he always does his what is his number one line that he always says? Oh yeah, until we go and show the documentation that yeah, you did call all Texas electricians glorified ditch diggers.
Yeah,
bro.
he did do that.
Yeah.
Now, watch this. The NERDL, pay attention, Jeremy, is completely independent of employers, subject to the tested equipment requirements, and of any manufacturers or vendors of equipment or materials being tested for their specific purpose. So what I'm trying to tell you is, Jeremy, you got this equipment being listed and labeled by UL, ETL, or whoever in Intertech, and they're completely independent of the people that make the equipment, and they're the ones that write the procedures. It's not the equipment manufacturer that's pushing something so they can get a product in. They have to go through certain requirements in order to get that listing and labeling. Unlike somebody on the code making panel that makes a product and says, hey, we need to put this in there. Otherwise, they won't use it.
All right, so we
Big
got a new
difference.
shot. We got a new shot game for the viewers. Every time I post up this, no, OSHA does not supersede the NEC. I'm gonna post that comment up. A weed man. All he has to do is just show us an example of where it does. That's it. You guys do a shot every single time, and we'll see how you guys. You guys will get drunker than Jeremy. But
Well-
it's just frustrating when it's like, dude, just show us an example, weed man. That's it. We don't need to hear the same thing over and over and over. You know.
Well,
It's so
it's like I say, he just gives opinion here. He's not showing you anything. And
Yeah.
and what we have here, I mean, like when I look at B4
Yeah,
here.
I posted the comment, weed man. I posted it, and you just were waiting for an example. Just show us an example. That's all you have to do.
Yeah, everybody can see the comments. We don't
Yeah.
even have to post them. They can see them. And
Yeah,
they know
they're
that
all
you're a
on
liar. So
Yeah.
if I look at B4, what does it say? The NERDL maintains that effective procedures for what? Now listen to this. Producing credible findings or reports that are objective and without bias. Okay, I want to stop right there for a second. Okay, and I look at this sort of like somebody submitting a public input for a code
Sure.
change. Okay,
Right.
so they came in as an example for your AC equipment. They come in and they said, we got to put GFCI. This was after the fact, you know, they got the section in, and then, you know, I like to say squeeze something in when nobody's looking. So they come
Well,
in,
it was
did it.
during COVID. There was no in-person meetings, and there was a lot of like kind of shady stuff that happened there.
Sure. So they had a TIA, and this was their reasoning. They come in and said, we need GFCI protection because this kid got killed jumping on top of it. But what they felt they didn't really want to talk about was that it was wired incorrectly. That was the real reason the kid got hurt. Then the other two examples they gave was people performing maintenance on it, doing it while it was energized, and they did not perform the safety related workplace requirements that were required per OSHA and 70E. Okay.
So I got a good question for you, King James. You'll love this one.
Mhm.
Okay. This is totally like we didn't rehearse it. Like this is nothing. This podcast we don't have lines or we didn't like have a you know itinerary or anything. So what is OSHA to us out at DIA? So I work out at DIA. What is OSHA to us out there?
Well, OSHA is your workplace safety requirements. And
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, what is it? Like, how do we look at OSHA out there at DIA?
you don't ever want to see them because if you do, you know you're about to get written up.
So out there, OSHA is the minimum. Like, we're using stricter standards than OSHA. OSHA is just a bare minimum. Like, that's the standard. So, remember how we always talked about this with Weed Man? How there's no minimum?
Well, let me
yeah,
give you.
OSHA is the minimum. Like, that's the minimum safety standard. You could go higher. You could feel like gold nuggets and have a safety harness on a scissor lip, but that's not required by OSHA. So why do I have to wear a safety harness, Weed Man? You know. It's
Well,
just-
let me give you an example. What OSHA does, they use the NEC 70E, maybe 70B. They'll also use the EECA documents for NFPA 496, 497, 499, and a bunch of others. But they use those as remedial documents to enforce their requirements. So why doesn't every one manufacturer say don't do GFCI and AFCI?
Because they can't. That's impossible.
Well, let's look at that for a minute, Jeremy. You brought up a good question. I like this question. Okay, if you look at your AFCI and GFCI, and they go to a panel, and that's where you install those AFCI and GFCI breakers, aren't the breaker manufacturers and the panel board manufacturer, the exact same company.
True.
Yeah. And then if I go out there and I require GFCI protection outside on something, who provides that GFCI protection, Jeremy? That'd be your GFCI manufacturers like Eaton, who has Thomas Dmitrovich on code making panel 2, who stated on his own podcast, we make these devices, but if we don't put it in the code, they won't use it. So in other words, what I'm trying to tell you is, why hasn't somebody like Dmitrovich and his company of Eaton go in and take those devices and try to get them listed and labeled that saying that those devices need to be provided on that equipment? I'll tell you why they don't, because that would never fly.
True. That's a good point, because you know, where did we come up with this? Like, we actually got the smoking gun. Where was it? So code making panel 2 says 210.8F applies, but why isn't that a code loop over in code making panel 7 in 440? Why isn't that a code loop over in 422 in code making panel 17? Why isn't that? It should be a code loop, because it's always been a code loop with stall cups, right?
Yeah, and see, that's why I wanted to bring that up. I wanted to explain about the GFCI device. If you go in and you look at a GFCI device, they're very specific when you look at the listing and labeling when they're putting a receptacle in. You ever notice that?
Yeah.
Go look at the manufacturer's instructions. Well, why do they not have something about it feeding AC or something like that? Because it wouldn't go. Because AC manufacturers would be, hell no, you're not doing that. And so now what you do is you have these code making panel members that are putting stuff in to have it enforced when they don't actually have, they've done no testing or anything on it. And that's what I'm trying to point out here. It's sort of like taking EVSE for it. And they had to go before the Standards Council. They went through all the testing, labeling, and everything. And through all, here's a good example. Jeremy, and I would love for you to answer this, Chris Folan, Joe for UL, all you guys that are talking all this smack. I got one question for you. If you look at that EVSE, and if you think it needs to be supplied with GFCI protection upstream, why have you not taken and gone into the UL standard that they use for setting up for evaluation of equipment, setting up the testing procedures and everything, and coming in and producing any type of credible findings or reports?
True. And I mean, dude, these are really good questions. Like, Weedman's got some good questions. You know?
Well, I'll tell you why they don't do it. Because when they do that, these are done without bias. They go in and actually do the testing and everything for this. Let me go back for this equipment. But if you take and go through the NEC now, and you go through code making panel 2 and you want to put GFCI protection on it, they've done no testing to the equipment or anything, set up any procedures. They've gone out, done no field evaluations of the equipment, but yet the NEC is supposed to override where they come in and actually did all the testing and field inspections. Give me a freaking break.
So you need to show me proof, Weedman, of where I blame the kid for jumping a 6-foot fence in Southside Chicago and damaging somebody's piece of equipment and getting himself killed, when I said his parents should have taught him better to not trespass. So if that's bad, if that offends people, then I'm sorry, but I thought that kid should have not done that. And he would still be alive if he didn't do that. So if I'm blaming the kid, my bad, bro. Whatever.
Okay. Now, when you look at 7C, this is one of the most important parts of 1910.7, in my opinion. it comes in and it talks about test standards. I want everybody, this is exactly why you want to share this podcast. So this information can get out. It needs to go to all over there in the Rocky Mountain chapter, IAI or whatever Folan belongs to. Yeah, take this over here, let them see it and see if they still agree with you. So test standards. An appropriate test standard referred to in 1910.7B1 and 2, which we've already looked at right above us. It says, is a document which specifies, now listen to this, Jeremy, specifies the safety requirements for specific equipment or class of equipment. Holy crap.
Oh,
So,
wow. Is that 210.8D? That was just like made like 2 years ago?
yeah. So this one I get. Now watch this. Now it goes to C1 and listen to what it says. Recognized in the United States as a safety standard providing an adequate level of what? Safety. Oh,
Yeah.
crap. So now if they tell you, like the EVSC, they said, don't put GFCI protection on it. Are you going to come in now and you're going to say the people that come in and did all this testing and did all the field evaluations of that equipment just because some code-making panel members that didn't have anything to do with it are saying it should have GFCI protection, it overrides this? Give me a freaking break.
So, I want to go into the way back machine just so everyone has context. There could be people watching this that don't have the context on this. So what happened was in 2020, they introduced the NEC reference 210.8F. It was due to a child in Southside Chicago who was jumping fences. He was in shorts. He jumped a 6-foot chain link fence, landed on some, homeowner's AC unit. The AC unit was wired incorrectly by the maintenance people. I guess it was like a temporary AC unit. And they used the seal tie as the equipment ground. So the minute he landed on it, it crushed the seal tie. It lost the equipment ground, energized the frame. I want to say with at least 120. It could have been 240. I don't know how you would energize 240. It said it was energized 240. I think that's incorrect because I would feel that that breaker would go phase to phase in that case. But at any point, he was energized. His knee touched the case of the AC unit. His hand was touching the fence, which was grounded. And he was basically electrocuted on site. And so they said, well, this wouldn't happen if we had GFCI protection. So they didn't say nothing to nobody. They just went and they submitted a public input submitted by Nihad El Sharif, very intelligent engineer. He's always in Egypt. I think he's out of Canada. I think he's out of like Ontario, Canada. Really intelligent individual. But he went and submitted the public input. He's an actual member of Code Making Panel 2, which I don't know if that's okay or not, but he submitted the code making process, the public input, and it was really close. But he said all outdoor outlets require GFCI protection. Well, I read it in the 2020 cycle, and I said, you know what? This is a really good public input. You know, I think that all outlets should be GFCI protected, but what I didn't think is they were trying to include all hardwired. And so it's kind of a little trickery, little clever trickery, whatever, because if they just said all AC units, all HVAC equipment, hardwired or receptacle connected, requires GFCI protected, it would have never passed. But it passed in 2020, and they put in 210.8F, and it was a really, at the time, it was like, oh, cool, this is cool. Yeah, we did something. You know, we got this passed. And then next thing you know, they started telling us how to interpret it. And that's why me and King James had the problem, because we're like, there's no outlet there.
I would like
so
to.
Now, they actually changed it because of my public inputs, where they said installed outlets. And King James noticed it. He called me and he was like, "Dude, you see this pass?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "I just wanted to say installed outlets. That's all I wanted. That was my whole point of having it." And now it says installed outlets. And then I was talking to his guy, and he goes, "Dude, that was genius, Bill. Because you didn't install an outlet. There's no GFCI protection."
I want to comment on this.
Okay.
Jeremy, let me explain to you what your problem is. If the kid hadn't have jumped on top of it, he wouldn't have been killed. That's not blaming the kid. That's just a fact. I don't know. I mean, you try to twist everything to make somebody look bad. That's the comment he made. If he hadn't have jumped on top of it, he wouldn't have got killed. That's not blaming the kid. That's just a fact. But I'll tell you something, you could use this exact same type of language on. How about going to code making panel 2 and saying this exact same language to them, because they actually used that kid and his death in order to push GFCI protection and didn't even want to comment or make any substantiation about it being wired improperly. That is who you should be blaming and calling all these names. But no, you don't look at it that way because you're part of that group. And that's what we've been trying to tell everybody. It's a two-way street with you. You only take the one side, and then the other side, you want to come on and you want to try to talk crap about them and everything. But when we give you the exact same setup and explain what happened and how they use it, I'm not going to do that. And the reason is because you're nothing but a coward.
Yeah, and the whole thing is, like, he's just gonna keep saying all the same thing, like, over and over. He's just like it's just like a doll. You just pull the lever and he just keeps saying the same thing over and over.
Yeah,
like, I don't care. Honestly, what matters to me the most on this, King James, is that we crushed them. Like, we crushed them in the last code cycle. They actually said in the 2026, they were like, "Wow, we're surprised. This is the first code cycle they didn't expand GFCI protection." Oh, why is that? Because our podcast went against them. And that shows you guys how awesome a podcast is. Like, you want to say, "Oh, it's just a podcast, Weed Man. Oh, it's just a podcast." Yeah, guess what? We got results, and we got what we wanted, because we don't think that you should just keep expanding this GFCI protection for no reason.
That's right. And I want to point something else out. And this is finishing it up for everybody. And share this podcast over and over and over, because this is the text. We're telling you what it says. You don't find this in the NEC. And what they tell you is when they're setting up these testing procedures and doing all these field inspections and everything, in C2, what does it tell you have to do? At the time they're given that listing and labeling of the equipment, it says compatible with and maintain current with periodic revisions of applicable national codes and installation standards. Then they tell you on top of that these standards, they're developed by an organization under a method providing for input and consideration. Now look at this, of views of industry groups, experts, users, consumers, governmental authorities, and others having broad experience in the safety field involved. Now my question on this is, Thomas Dmitrovich, since you seem to know so much and you think GFCI protection should be over on EVSE, why don't you get on this standard here and explain your reasoning behind it? You have the right to go do this since you have a broad experience in dealing with EVSE, even though the GFCI is already in the equipment and they've already provided to protect the user. Okay. Now, so that's where I get into a problem. Now listen to this.
There's a serious thing on this EVSE thing, because why do you think Tommy D has such a problem with with them not having another device? Like, What do you think is the problem with this? The EBSE already has GFCI protection. Now Tommy D's saying you have to have a second GFCI. Why would you think that he's doing that?
You sell product.
Well, he's selling product because the EBSE personnel protection, that's actually listed as personnel protection. They actually have that listed and labeled as personnel protection. It's at 20 milliamps.
There you go. That shows you there Jeremy's a freaking idiot.
Yeah.
Have you ever even looked at GFCI equipment? EVSE equipment?
No, he doesn't.
Oh my God.
What? You never said that. Oh man, I'm just keep. Oh, you never said that. Oh, you never said that. Never said that. You know. But the whole thing is, it's so funny because the reason that the code making panel 2 and Tommy D have such a problem with it is because they say it has to be 4 to 6 milliamps for personnel protection. But their hand was forced in this last code cycle. They had to say that you could do up to 30 milliamps and still call personnel protection. The whole thing was, we didn't want that to happen. Like me and King James, we talked about this. We did not want this to happen to go to like a 30 milliamp threshold. But, okay, so you're sitting there saying, and we showed this many podcasts, you have an AC unit, a window shaker that's right next to your bed. It's got a GFPE that could be up to 30 milliamps plugged right into your receptacle right next to your bed, and that's fine. But now you're sitting there trying to push your weight and push hard that you have to have 4 to 6 milliamps on this metal box that's outside your home. Like, it's so stupid. It's so dumb.
I've got a question for Jeremy. He said, put on there and ask them to have GFCI protection. Okay, what I'm going to ask you, Jeremy, what type of protection's there? I'm not going to answer yet because I know what it is. And I want to see what your answer is. I'll give you a hint that'll help you out. They refer to it as CCID, which is often referred to as GFCI protection. But do you even know what CCID is?
Yeah.
Shock protection.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
What it is? Let me help you out. It's called a charge current interrupting device, which is like, what is a GFCI? It's an interrupting device.
It's code compliant now.
It is the same as GFCI. It's an interrupting device. That's all GFCI is an interrupting device. The only difference between a Class A and that is what the internal mechanism is set at. So when you look at a CCID, it's set to a 20 milliamp threshold to help detect the ground faults. And that's it. That's the difference between that and a GFCI breaker, which is usually set at 5 milliamps.
And it's code compliant now under 2026 because it's set for the compatibility for the EBSE, and it's so funny, you know, like. Dude.
Wait, I got one more question for him. If I take and I have the CCID that's set it at the unit and everything, and that's my interrupting device for the person that was going to interact with plugging in the car, why do I need Class A upstream then?
Sure. There's no reason.
And don't give me some crap about protecting the circuit because it's outside, because if that is the case, then that means everything that's outside, no matter what it is, should have some form of GFCI.
Oh, 100%. And that, dude, that is like literally my frustration with this. Like, you get these guys that come in here and they say, oh, why do you guys lie so much? Really, what are we lying about, Weed Man? We asked you to post a simple example of where the NEC would override OSHA. I'm still waiting for it, bro. Still waiting. You know, like, dude, please post it, man. Just post it up here. You say, why don't we post comments? Guess what? went and looked at the last episode. Every single one of your comments is in there. Like, the comment replay's in there. I can't block your comments, dude. Like, if you're really that ignorant and you're really, don't really know what's going on, like, you're sitting there saying, like, 210.8.
Okay, let me go there real quick. Okay.
Yeah.
So, I just went through.
210.8 overrides the NEC.
I don't know what he's saying.
How does 210.8 override?
What?
210.8 overrides OSHA?
Let me go through this.
Okay.
So,
that's weird.
Let's say I have an AC unit out there, Jeremy. They tell you not to put GFCI protection on. Or say it's even EVSC. They tell you not to put GFCI protection on.
That's an even better example because the Standards Council already ruled that you're
I know.
correct.
That's why I'm putting both of them together.
Okay.
So I've gone in, I've done all this, and as a manufacturer of that equipment, and let me go right back here, because they come in and they tell you they produce credible findings or reports that are objective and without bias. Okay? So if they come out and tell you not to put GFCI protection on it, and they've gone through and they've also have gone in, done field evaluations and everything on it. They set up the testing procedures for it. They did every bit of the testing and showed that it is going to provide the exact safety to protect personnel. Does the NEC override all the listing and labeling that was written by UL or ETL, whoever? They put the standards together to say that it didn't need GFCI protection. We're not saying they override OSHA at this point because OSHA is giving them the certification to be a NERDL. They just oversee it. The testing procedures and everything are done by UL. Are you saying that the NEC overrides UL now?
I mean,
because
he's gonna go
we
into
just
that
showed you every
refrigerator.
bit of that.
He's going to go into that refrigerator one, like, it's so stupid because...
Yes,
man,
I will say that one time too. If the manufacturer tells you not to put it on a GFCI, that refrigerator has been tested for that. They've been in the field, looked at all installations and everything, and that was done by UL, not OSHA, by UL.
And what do, King James? They put it on an individual branch circuit. They put a single receptacle. They plug the receptacle in to where no liquids or materials can get in there. Like, this is so
The
stupid.
equipment's
like,
designed for that.
yeah,
And
100%.
that's the problem with people like Jeremy and Dimitrovich and Holt and Jackson, all of them. They do not understand listing and labeling requirements as it relates to UL and OSHA regulations. If they understood that, then it would be much easier, but they just want to stick everything straight to the NEC. That's it. Let me ask you this. I got another question.
They do say that, Weed Man. They do tell you not to install it on GFCI or AFCI. Your response is do not install it in that location, which is pretty much everywhere now in 2026. But that's
I got another
we
question.
Go move back
When
into the cave because Weed Man says can't do it.
Say they got a refrigerator there and they require GFCI protection on it. Okay? Now, when they go out, say something goes wrong with the refrigerator stuff, who is responsible for maintenance on that? Okay?
Sure.
There's going to be documentation put in place that they can only replace certain parts that are available in the industry. Okay? Who makes that call? It's the manufacturer that went through UL with the testing procedures and everything and knowing what's available. The NEC didn't have nothing to do with that. And that's what I'm trying to tell you, Jeremy. When they go through this, they go through everything and they have the testing facilities and everything, and they have the testing procedures. Like right here, let me show you something. This is the last part. In lieu of paragraph C1, 2, and 3 that we just looked at, and who is what they're required to do. Listen to this. The standard is currently designated as an ANSI standard. That's your safety designated product standard or your ASTM, which is your American Society for Testing and Materials test standard used for evaluations of products and materials. Show me anywhere in the NEC that they do any of that and make the decisions on how that equipment's going to be installed. You
Hey,
can't show that, but what you can show is some code-making panel members that just decided, oh, well, we want to put this on there. But they did no testing or anything.
I got a good one for you, King James. So you're the only one that understands this? No, you're the only one that doesn't understand it.
What is there to understand? It's in black and white. We're showing you what it says. This is not our opinion. We're showing you what it says. I mean, when you come back here, and you're looking at this right here, and they're telling you all the things they need to do as a nerdle in order to list and label that equipment. And then they tell you, oh, well, let's see what we want you to do. You got to implement control procedures for identifying the listed and labeled equipment or materials.
True.
You also have to inspect the runs of production of such items at factories for product evaluation purposes to assure conformance with what? Test standards.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, and I'll go to that in just a minute. And then you also have to conduct what? Field inspections to monitor and to assure the proper use of its identifying marks or labels on products. And so when I'm looking at this and I'm looking at test standards, how do I determine these test standards? Oh, looky here. It starts right here in C1. Go to the bottom here. C1, you tie it in, and it says it will provide what? An adequate level of safety. Then it tells you to use all maintain current and periodic revisions of applicable national codes and installation standards. And then they tell you the standards are developed with all these people involved. And then they're set up through an ANSI or ASTM. Now you show me anywhere in NEC that they tell you this. Now, I got another question for you. This is great for Jeremy, Chris Folan, Bryant Rock, all you freaking idiots out there that go on these social media groups and try to act like you're the defining authority on the NEC and standards. I've got a question for you. Okay. And this is really a great one, because this will have to make you make an answer. When listing and labeling came into the code, what was it based off of?
I'm going to guess the freaking OSHA standard.
There you go. That's all you need to know. That's where it got started from.
So I got one for you. All right. So, let me see. Okay. So here's one.
Let me go back to that.
So here we go. So it's our opinion, right? It's our opinion. Like really, it's our opinion. Like, we went through all this stuff because it's our opinion. Like literally, he just keeps going back to the same thing. Like, nope. I didn't say that. It's like, oh, you don't post our comments. No, what we're doing here, Weed Man, we're doing a discussion. We're discussing with people. Like, if you're an apprentice, if you're a journeyman, if you're a master, it doesn't matter. You can come in on this show in our comments, and you can add your input. You can challenge us. We are openly challenged. Me and King James, like we have no problem being challenged by people in the chat. If there was something Daniel thought in something he was doing in like medium voltage, he's like, nah, dude, this ain't right. I would be like, dude, Daniel, that is right, dude. This is wrong. That's right. Like, Daniel trusts me. He trusts me. Like, I've worked with Daniel side by side, and me and Daniel have installed like really perfect looking stuff. Hey, Daniel, don't tell him it wasn't perfect, all right? But the whole thing is it's pretty perfect. It's not all the way perfect, but it's almost perfect, But the whole thing is you have to realize that your electrical install is not going to be 100% perfect all the time. You know, you try to get that where you're like, oh, dude, this is perfect, but it's never going to be perfect. Like, it's going to be a little off over here, a little off over there, you know, but you just get it close enough, pull wire through it, turn stuff on, whatever, you know, so that's really cool. Dude.
Well,
dude, Daniel, you're going to make me cry, man, you know. So, yeah, dude, like it was funny because like me and Daniel, we used to do like perfect non-unit installs, and dude, it was so hilarious. Like, you would trigger so many people on social media and be like, just another perfect non-unit install, you know. And, dude, it was so funny. Like, oh man, dude, you got me, Daniel. You got me on that one, man. Oh man, that was hilarious.
When you go in and you look, and let me explain why Jeremy keeps saying homeowner. What's this? Why do you constantly hide? I don't even know what the hell he's talking about. I'm on here every week, but anyway. So show me how OSHA can cite a homeowner like Klein. I'm not claiming that. See, he knows a homeowner can't be cited, and he also knows a self-employed individual won't be cited. And I'm going to say this one more time, but they do handle employers, okay?
Sure.
And that's where I'm trying. He doesn't want to discuss this. He just wants to keep bringing it back to this homeowners.
So
if you have let me put it this way: if you have a homeowner and you hire a contractor, okay, that contractor comes out there and he's working, OSHA rules apply. Period. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. And see, this is what gets me. I want to give an example of something.
What did you claim?
But
you know, like,
I did not claim that. I said if they go out to a homeowner, if they hire a contractor, he can be cited. Period. And you can be. He was talking about on a residential property. I said at a homeowner's residential property, they can still go out there and cite. Period. Right. And that's where you get into your employers, because they still fall under the employee safety standards. Period. It doesn't matter. So that's what Jeremy wants to argue about, and he's trying to take a straw man's argument to try to make himself look right because he got burned so bad from Ryan going in and saying. Here's a good one for y'all. Ryan Jackson, here's something he said to show what he really knows about 70E. But he come in and he said, yeah, you use table 110.26A1 in the code, and that's where you get your arc flash boundary. Well, I came in and gave him a full correction and told him where to go, that he didn't have any clue what he was talking about. Since then, he's gone back and he's changed that because it showed that he was out of his league speaking about safety, which he wasn't concerned with. But I want one more point.
I 100% agree with that.
This is exactly things that I'm talking about here. If you go in, and Jeremy, I'm going to teach you something here. Okay, pay real close attention. And this has to deal with the 70E document. Have you ever noticed in the 70E document, we don't call any specific people out? The only things we call out in there is qualified and unqualified. Do you know why that is? And we don't say electricians, maintenance personnel, or any of that?
Because there's manufacturers that actually make equipment that's compliant for unqualified personnel.
Well, it's not only that. The main reason we don't do any of that is because it's just like OSHA does too, is because anybody that has exposure to anything while it's being worked on energized, it applies to.
True.
Period.
And there's equipment that is designed and installed for unqualified people to work on it.
And of course, what the hell would I know about it? I've only been on 70 committee since it pretty much started. I mean,
well, we just want to know one case, Weed Man. All you have to do is one case that you could tell us where the NEC overrides OSHA. So OSHA says that this is listed label equipment that doesn't need GFCI protection. You said 210.8F. That is incorrect. You were wrong. So go to the next one.
well, with all that being said, all I'm going to say is they have a few more things here where you got your alternative test standards. And basically what that is really getting into is where you're getting in and you're dealing with third parties and things like that. And then you got your implementation. And when you look at the implementation, it's very specific. This is the last part. It says a testing organization desiring recognition by OSHA. Read that one more time, Jeremy. By OSHA, not NEC or anybody else. As a NERDL, shall request that OSHA evaluate its testing and control programs against the requirements in this section. So that included any updated codes, installation standards, or anything for any equipment or material it may specify. The recognition procedure shall be conducted in accordance with Appendix A to this section. And when you get to Appendix A, what does it deal with? The definitions, and that's where you're going to be in 1910.399. And I'm going to tell everybody on here, go look at it. You don't take my word for it. Go look at the definition of accepted, acceptable, and approved, and that'll get you where you need to go.
Okay. So we have a receptacle cannot be installed within 3 foot of a bathtub. Show me anywhere in receptacle listing that says that. Well, okay, Weedman. So you're saying that OSHA says it's okay to install a receptacle within 3 foot of a bathtub?
I have no freaking clue what he's talking about.
I mean,
are you saying there's a product out there that does that or something that I'm unaware of?
I mean, it would have to be OSHA approved, right?
This is what they do over at ECD, everybody. They provide all these stupid hypotheticals. But yet they provide no documentation or anything where it took place. It's just a hypothetical where they can argue about everything.
Yeah, so, I mean, if they have a listed product from OSHA that says you can install it within 3 foot of a bathtub, then you could do it.
Yeah.
I mean,
but there's not one, but you could do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's
that's his hypothetical, you know. Oh, well,
Yeah.
what if it said you did? Well, it didn't say that. And let me explain to everybody watch this. Listen to what I'm about to say. He just gave a hypothetical for something, and that hypothetical wouldn't have took place. And you know why that wouldn't have happened, Jeremy? Because it has to be, it has to go with the testing procedures in accordance with what? Any updated national electrical codes or installation standards.
True. 100%.
See, you're learning something tonight, Jeremy. Your hypotheticals don't work because I know how to answer them.
And for the first time in history, your students are learning something.
That's right. Exactly right.
But are we going to man versus machine?
Yeah, you can go get.
Sorry, dude. I always crush your topic, but.
Yeah, because if I do topic, we ain't gonna be fish for a long time.
Dude, topic next week, we're going with Jason, and he's the inventor of an app called Master Electrician. I really like it. I think it's cool. James doesn't like the 2 scans per week thing, but subscription thing, whatever. But the whole thing is, like, me and King James, we're real Apple people. So he's really plugged into the Apple thing. I think we're going to have a good guest next week. I'm going to talk with Jason, but he's scheduled for next week. So that'd be really cool to have him as a guest. We'll probably do the topic first just so we don't...
this will be announced next week. I'm setting up where I'm going to be doing some things I can put out on the groups and stuff. Some what do you call them? Like wallpapers and things
Like
to show who it
spreadsheets.
is. Yeah.
Spreadsheets or
Well, no,
something.
I won't do a spreadsheet. I'll be doing for the winter. I'll put some
Just
cool
the
stuff
announcement.
together.
Just
Just an
the
announcement.
who won.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So
Let's
if you
do.
called us a clown, you didn't win. So I'm just kidding.
You want to go ahead and get your tool of the weekend?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
It's time for Tool Review of the Week. Sponsored by Electricians Only Tool Review and Nipex Tradesman.
All right.
Dude, our last guest was mysteriously Hillary Clinton. No, I'm just kidding.
I wouldn't have her on.
Yeah, it's a little funny. No, so this is really cool. One of the apprentices, like, let me borrow this. I was, like, doing some testing, and he handed me it, and I was like, wow, this is kind of cool, you know? Like, there's a lot of things that not like about it, because it didn't have the amp clamp, you know? There's a lot of things that you're like, this really isn't versatile. But it did what I wanted it to do, and it was... like, I think it was 750 volt rated, 600 volt rated. So you kind of have to watch that. Like, there was one time, like, it was crazy. I was working on a job site, and guy was like, yeah, he goes, you don't have to test voltage. Everything I do is like 100%, you know, tested, and it's all good. Like, you just hook it up. And I was like, I always test voltage. And so he went and got all fired up for me and everything, and then I tested it, and it was like 980. And I was like, what? I was like, 980? I was like, I don't know that this tester's really rated for that. Like, I was expecting it to, like, blow up my hand when I read 980. I was like, 980, oh shit! You know, like, I'm gonna just jump away, you know? And then I was like, well, I have a 1,000 volt rated tester, you know? And the guy's like, nah, there's no way there's 980 on there, you know? And I was like, dude, it's 980, bro. I was like, dude, I literally tested a couple times 980, bro. I was like, I can't believe my tester didn't blow up. But this one, there's a possibility that you have to look at, like, these ratings. Like, when you're going to test stuff, you have to maybe look at it and go, shit, this ain't rated for 980, you know? Like, it's probably only rated for, like, 600 volts. Like, typically, like, when you have these meters, like, you're just, like, 600 volts, 600 volts, 600 volts.
Yeah.
You're never going to really see under 600 volts. But what happened was this guy was like, oh, yeah, you don't have to check voltage. I checked all these, and I was like, okay. Well, they have, like, a freak drive in these things. And so, basically, you put the conductors on one side, and they have, like, a coil tap, almost like a transformer. And so, if you put that coil tap on the wrong side of the transformer, then it's gonna be wrong. And so I don't know, somehow he explained to me that he thought it was 480 but it was 980, and I was just like, dude, you could have, like, blowed me up, you know?
Yeah.
Because he thought it was 480 and it was 980, and I was just like, what country in the world has 980? Like it blew me away, you know? But that's why we have to be really careful. Like, we're using testing equipment, and we're testing for live, dead, live, all this stuff that we've always preached, like, here in this podcast. You have to make sure that you're, you know, just using common sense. And, like, to me, he goes, oh, dude, there's no way you need to test voltage. And then I was like, boom, 980. And he was like, what? 980? Like, he thought I was lying to him. He built the equipment. Like, he wired the equipment, and he's like, no, you're wrong. It's not 980. And then he's like, oh, crap, it's 980. And then they delivered us, like, I want to say it was, like, in the neighborhood of, like, upwards of 15 units or something. Every single one was 980. It was 980 wired. Like, at least I gave him credit. It was consistent. you know?
Yeah.
So that's why we have to be careful. And the thing is, like, this meter right here, big shout out to some of my apprentices who will know this happened. Like, we were doing some testing. We're up on a roof of a school. And I was like, man, I'm going to pull on the wire and just see if that's a 1. And then I see my meter just come off the roof all the way to the ground. I was like, dude, you didn't hold my meter while I was pulling on it, you know? So it was like, this thing could probably survive. I don't think that meter survived that fall. But it was like, I was like, hey, I'm going to put the prongs in there. And I was like, just hold it. Make sure it doesn't fall. And then I was like, hey, I'm going to pull on the wire. Make sure it's the right one. I pull on it. I just see my meter just come off the roof of the school all the way to the ground. I was like, oh, good job holding it. You know, but it's just really funny. You know, like a lot of the stuff that we do on this podcast is related to me actually being out in the field, King James being out in the field. And that's why we love having participation. Almost 60,000 in electrical code discussion for awesome electricians. So sweet. I can't wait to actually hit that 60K. Means a lot. We said we were going to pass them. We did. And, you know, the thing was that it's based on posts like this where we're out in the field. We've seen this before. This meter, it says it will survive a 10-foot fall. I want to see my apprentice drop more meters when I have something like this. Like, just drop them, dude. Just let it fall. It's all good. It's gonna survive. Roof of a school. See it. I want to see it. So
Let's see it happen, baby.
Yeah. So that's where it comes in with like my tour reviews. This is actual stuff where we're out in the field. We actually see this stuff. It's not all these like little crybabies like Weed Man over there, you know. And you know, like that's what's so funny. They're like, "Oh yeah, what happened to your last guest?" Like, I don't know. You tell
He got
me.
tied up. He couldn't make it.
Yeah, whatever. So we're hoping that Jason hangs out, and King James has some pretty, you know, informative things that he's gonna let him know about an app and different things like that. So, you know, the thing is, like, we're not about like disconnecting from our guests. Like, we're about having our guests on. Dude, you know what's funny? Like, so we had asked a lady electrical inspector on, Tabitha Gamilla, I want to say. And she's a really awesome guest. And tonight she was, I don't want to say tonight, but on her podcast, she said you can't have ceiling wires support junction boxes, you know? And I was just like, man, you know, like when she said it, I was like, man, what? You know, she's like, oh, you have to use a listed support means. And I'm like, you know, like it hurt me because I'm like, come on, Tabitha. You know, but the whole thing is, like, I love you, ask the lady electrical inspector, but you're wrong on that. Like, and she was misinterpreting 311. It says you can use ceiling wires. They just have to be identified. You can't be part of the ceiling wire support structure. So, you know, that's the kind of things that I love. We have guests on here. We don't degrade them. We don't say they're idiots or morons or anything like Weed Man does, you know. And, you know, that's the thing that's cool. Like, dude, I love Chad. Like, Chad's actually played this podcast in his classroom.
Sure has.
Know, and
he even typed it on the thing in the messages.
Yeah. And so that's really cool. We would really love to have Chad come on here. If Chad wants to be on here. If Chad don't want to be on here, who cares? You know, the whole thing is, like, that's awesome. If Chad wants to come on and be a guest, awesome. You know, come hit me up. Anyone wants to be a guest on our show, come jump on here. You guys could be a third party to the Man vs. Machine, which you're going to next.
All right.
Going down. You're going down. Man vs. Machine.
Maybe.
For years, man tried to create artificial intelligence. On this segment, we find out, is AI smarter than King James?
Dude, this
Let's
one.
see what you got
man.
this week.
Oh man, I built this one up. I got you.
Let's see. Post pedal. Oh, electrified truck parking spaces. Article 626. Supply equipment. Ooh. Point identified as harsh. Marked seasonal or storm. J.
So
See, this
right
is
away-
interesting because
I know right away you're freaking out because I copied and pasted the actual code, and you're not supposed to do that because it's a it's a copyright infringement.
see,
To me, I don't care because if you don't see it, copy and paste it, then you don't have the right answer.
See, this is one where it's interesting because because you're getting into storm-driven flooding and things like that, and if I actually go and look where you got datum planes and stuff, it's usually 5 feet right over there, and that's where you're getting into Article 682. But I think here it's not. I think because it's not down by where you have a datum plane, so it'll be less than 5. And I think I'm guessing here. I think it's 2. It's 2 or 3, but I'll go with 2. I think it's 24 inches, so I'll go with 2 foot.
Oh,
And
man, and you're basing that common sense. So just so you know, out there, apprentices, he's basing that common sense up. Whatever.
from something
common
else I
sense.
know, and where
Yeah.
from what they have it at.
But what is every normal receptacle put at? 1 foot 6. So maybe they could say a normal receptacle is fine.
Yeah, well,
Maybe,
normal that is,
maybe.
but you've got the driven flooding here. That's why I was in between 2 and 3.
All right, let's see what AI says. I want to see
All right.
what AI says.
Let me go over here, share screen. There it is. All right. Okay. That should be pretty good. And Chat GPT is going to say here. I think it's like 626.20 C or something like that. Oh, it did 2 foot too. But it didn't give a section, so let me go over here to an FPA link.
We have a correct answer from ChatGPT. Finally, it was a wrong answer last week, wasn't it?
Yeah. Give me a second. I'm looking right now. 626.22 B. Okay, well, I was close. I knew it was somewhere
I
in there.
was trying, dude, it was so crazy. I'm like, what can I get him on? What can I get him on? What can I get him on? And I was like, electrified truck spaces. I was like, there we go. I was like, cool. But the thing is that you told me the secret to getting you. You're like, it has to be something I don't come across very much. And so I think about that when I'm making the question. I'm like, I bet you he doesn't come across this very much. But I know you did the whole thing on GFCI protection because none of that shit's GFCI protected.
Yeah, you sort of got to know where you're going, and I wasn't 100% sure on that one, but I just, I did process of elimination. Okay, so I sent it. Let me tell it. Place and master file. Okay.
There you go.
And
Dude,
that'll take care of that.
Dude, it was probably ChatGPT was probably watching the show. It knew from your last master file, just watch the show and then it's copy King James. And so it just copied you. So
It probably is monitoring it.
Yeah, I don't think.
Tired of losing.
I don't think you're gonna be so lucky on the next segment if we go to Willie Quiz.
All right, let's kick it off.
Dude, I work out really hard so I can. What?
I can see that.
Where's the crowd's here? What? Like, no, I was trying to see if I had. All right, I got drum roll. All right, I was trying to see if I had. Dude, what the hell? Like this crowd keeps showing up. All right, so question number 1: which team holds the best record to start this year in Major League Baseball history? Is it A, the New York Yankees? Is it B, the Atlanta Braves? Is it C, the Milwaukee Brewers? Is it D, Tampa Bay Rays? Or E, the LA Dodgers? Good luck, everyone.
All those are pretty good teams back in the day. The Brewers used to be pretty good. But I think, if I remember, I think Tampa Bay didn't they have like 15 wins or 16 wins or something like that to start the season? I'll go with Tampa Bay. I remember that. Oh, well, I guess I was right there. Okay.
Oh, so you were copying Daniel. Ooh, copying Daniel is pretty dangerous right now. Copying Daniel. We have one correct answer. Good
Okay.
copy there on Daniel. Like Daniel's like on Google. Or
So it was
whatever.
13-0. I knew it was something like that.
Yeah. Which team originally set the AL record? Was it A, the Chicago White Sox?
Okay.
Was it B, the Milwaukee Brewers? Was it C, the Atlanta Braves? Was it D, the Kansas City Royals? Or was it E, the New York Yankees? Good luck, everyone. So
Okay.
Daniel hasn't answered yet, but
I'm going with B.
did you
my-
see how I set it up? Like how it like progresses through? Like you already got the answer, so then boom, the answer gets the next question.
Well, see, I was thinking Tampa Bay was like one or two more than Milwaukee, and Milwaukee was one of my choices in the last one.
All right.
And then I was like, no, I think
I'm
it's over
actually
here.
getting doubt so that you don't just copy Daniel this time, but we'll see. Daniel, I don't know. I mean, I think that's what really like sets Daniel apart from King James is he picks different answers than you. But let's see what he goes here. He is going B. So let's see.
Follow the leader.
See what. Good luck, everyone.
Oh, what am I doing? I'm waiting on the answer.
It's B, the Milwaukee Brewers. So we have two correct answers. Did Daniel say D? Oh no, he said
He went B.
All right. All right, cool. All right, yeah, I had the wrong one. All right, question number 3. Which team holds the worst start in season in modern Major League baseball history since 1900? Was it A, the Baltimore Orioles? Was it B, the Detroit Tigers? Was it C, the Chicago Cubs? Was it D, the Cleveland blah blah blah
Guardians.
Guardians, whatever? Or E, the Colorado Rockies? Good luck, everyone.
I'm feeling pretty confident about this answer, and if I think I'm correct on this, I think it was Colorado Rockies. I think is that I remember the year, but it was bad.
That's pretty good, man. Oh man.
Didn't they lose like 50 something starts or something like that? Start the season.
Oh man. So it looks like you're just gonna copy Daniel, huh? Oh my goodness, I cannot believe this. Like, man, this is so incredible. Like, man. We have 2 incorrect answers. It is the Baltimore Orioles.
Really?
Yeah, they went like 23-0 or something. Like, so there is no way the Rockies could be as bad as the Baltimore Orioles. I want to give a big shout out to the Birdwatcher channel. Really good friend of the channel, Birdwatcher. Go check out Birdwatcher, Baltimore Orioles channel. Question number 4. Which team started the season 21-0? The best start in professional baseball history, not Major League Baseball. So it is like baseball and not Major League Baseball, but like minors and majors, whatever. But it does say that started the season 21-0, so it doesn't really say ties either. But we have A, Chicago White Sox, B, St. Louis Cardinals, C, Milwaukee Brewers, D, Philadelphia Athletics, or E, the Texas Rangers. Good luck, everyone.
I have no freaking clue on this one, but I'm going to say it's not Major League Baseball, and 4 of those teams are Major League Baseball teams. So I'll go with D, Philadelphia Athletics.
All right. That could be part of the trick question. Let's see what Daniel says. Daniel has not answered yet. But at the same time, that's kind of a good,
Well, I know it wasn't the Texas Rangers, and because before they become the Texas Rangers, they were the Washington Generals.
All right, so Daniel is going B, St. Louis Cardinals. St. Louis Cardinals.
I'd have thought if there was another one on there.
Answer is D. King James takes the lead.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Oh man. Here we go. Question number 5. Which of these teams started a season undefeated the longest before their first game? So A, 1982 Atlanta Braves. B, 1987 Milwaukee Brewers. C, 2023 Tampa Bay Rays. D, 1918 New York Giants. Or E, the 1906 Chicago Cubs. Good luck, everyone.
Well, I know we had 13 between Milwaukee and Tampa Bay were in the first two questions. And I think the Tampa Bay was 2023. It was in your question. So I'll go with C.
C? All right.
I'm not sure when the Brewers were, but regardless, Tampa Bay was 13-0 in 2023, based on your second question.
True. Yeah, and I like to stack them like this.
Yeah, and it was
It's real.
and it was the longest streak. So before they lost,
so
it
people
had to
can
be.
go back. People can go back and they can look at the way I stacked this up, and I was not making it rigged at all. Looks like Daniel is going A, the Braves, 1982 Braves. 1982 Braves.
Oh, that'd still be the modern era. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess he's going for it since he's.
We have two incorrect answers. The answer is D, 1916, the New York Giants. So that's really crazy to me because there was a couple games that they tied. And in that era, they didn't count that as a defeat. So that was undefeated. So I think they went like 28-0 or something like that.
Okay.
To start it. So,
I'm up one. He can go for the tie.
yeah, so, all right. So the tiebreaker is, do I have to go look at the tiebreaker? All right. So the tiebreaker is, damn, I can't remember the tiebreaker. So out of the, I'm trying to think, what was that tiebreaker? Like, man, that's so messed up. Let me just go research the tiebreaker really quick. I sent it to you, or I actually did it. Let me see. I don't send it to you because I know you'd be like, oh man, a tiebreaker. Yeah, I got it. Let me see. I'm gonna go over here. I'm gonna go look it up. I want to be sure that the tiebreaker is legit. Let me see, because let me go look. Dude, it's so funny. Like I have so many like chats in ChatGPT. Like I'm just battling like nonstop. Let me see. They're sitting there like, because I was battling the OSHA one. Let me see. Where was it? All right. No, I want to do this live, Daniel. I want to do this live. Real talk, Daniel, because that's the way I do it. So let me see. I'm gonna go right there. Perfect tiebreaker. All right. All right. How many games did the 1988 Baltimore Orioles lose before their first win?
Wow.
The Baltimore Orioles, they lost the most at any of them. But how many did they lose before their first win? They had the record. We all know the record.
Is this just any time during the season or to start the season?
So, start the season, they lost the most. They lost more than the Colorado Rockies.
Well,
So
I guess I would just.
How many did
just-
they lose before they
I'll
got
just-
the first win?
I'll do a round off. So if you had 13, I could see somebody losing probably, I'll say 20 games.
20. All right. Daniel. Over, under 20. Over, under 20. Over, under 20 on Daniel. King James goes 20. Over, under 20. Oh, Daniel says, what, 20? Did he say 20?
Yeah, he just rounded off what I did. Doesn't matter now. I won.
It's 21. Tie
Was
goes
it?
to Daniel. You win, Daniel. Oh, my
Oh,
goodness.
no. I'm still up one.
Oh, yeah. All right. So, tiebreaker goes to King James. All right. You know what?
That's just the way it goes when you're going against greatness.
I thought it'd be really funny if somehow you lost, but if you said 21, Daniel, you would have won. So I don't know. You can't tie the tie. I don't know, but
You get tie the tie.
yeah, but whatever. I mean, I wanted to tie goes to the guy who's in here,
But there wasn't no tie.
yeah, so it's all good. King James, you are superior here.
I'm kicking ass this year. I'm just on
Yeah,
the roll, baby.
the winning number would be 21. If Daniel would have said 21, he would have won. So
It's all this weight I've
So-
lost. I've been
Yeah.
on diet and stuff, and I'm thinking clear. All right.
there you go.
Wall Shane, finish it up. We're already way over 2 hours.
Oh yeah.
All right, let's finish it.
Shame. 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 Shame.
Pickle shot to Adam. Love you, Adam. Thanks so much making the intro to the last segment.
Willie Quiz, what do you got here this week?
Dude, it's so crazy. Like, so they did the 3 point. So this is what happened. They
Why
did
the
a
hell did
3-point
they
shot.
have a? Yeah, why do they have it? That doesn't make any sense.
So I'll tell you what happened. I could see it when I was looking at it. So the sprinkler fitters came through after they already had their stuff ran. And so what happened, and you could see the coupling in there in that plumbing pipe. So they had to move that plumbing pipe. So that plumbing pipe was at the same height as the sprinkler pipe. Then the sprinkler came through, so they had to move that plumbing pipe down. And the electrical pipe was already ran when the plumbing pipe was there at that height. So,
Even then, I'm still trying to wonder why they had the saddle in there.
well, because they saddled around the plumbing pipe.
Oh,
But
and
the
then they
plumbing-
moved after. Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm telling you, I'm a future teller when it comes to construction because I could tell you that plumbing pipe couldn't go at that elevation because that sprinkler pipe. Like, when
Yeah.
I saw it, I was like, dude, that sprinkler pipe's right at the same elevation as that saddle.
Yeah.
And to me, I'm just saying I'm a future teller when it comes to construction. And to me, I wouldn't even ran my pipe at that level. Because I would have known there was a plumbing pipe there. I would have ran lower or higher, you know.
Yeah.
But this shows like an inexperienced electrician that put a saddle in there to go around the plumbing pipe,
Mm-hmm.
not knowing the same skills I have that it's gonna have to move anyway.
This is gonna have to move anyway. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah,
Okay.
so,
Fermenter, I was like, why the hell they do that? It didn't make any
Yeah.
sense to me.
but it was like when I saw it, it's like an inexperienced guy taking a picture or something and going, "Why the hell did they do the saddle the wrong way?" It's like, no, they did the saddle the right way. They just moved the pipe.
Right. I got you.
So, no, I appreciate you, sir. You are the man. So much fun, and we had a lot of fun with Weed Man, and we had a lot of fun. Thanks so much, Daniel, for joining in, dude. So awesome, you know.
Don't cry too long tonight, Daniel. It's okay.
Yeah, dude. I mean, what are we gonna have that Weed Man's gonna say? Like, oh yeah, guess what? Your comments are posted there, Weed Man. So
Yeah, this
Go check it
podcast
out.
needs to be posted out there for everybody to watch because it literally breaks it down and shows you everything we've been telling you. And this is how you fight back and argue with those people that try to tell you don't know what you're talking about.
100%. You have a good night, sir. Appreciate
Peace
it.
out, everybody. We're out of here. It's over
Peace.
2 hours and 15 minutes.
Peace.
Those that hung out, appreciate it. Y'all others, we'll see y'all next Thursday, brother.